Hello, my name is Bob D. Hilster, and I am your particle model guru. Well, today I'm going to start something a little bit different. I'm going to involve hopefully a series of questions. And the first question is going to be, where are the flying cars? It was in the spring of 2009, I was watching Regis and Kelly in the morning when I heard Kelly say, "When I was growing up, I thought in a few years we would have flying cars." I don't know if that's exactly what she said, but that's the essence. A lot of people thought, well, we've done a lot of great things with science. Surely we would have flying cars. Like this? Well, no, that's not quite what we had in mind. This is an actual car that can deploy some wings and become an airplane. It's like a transformer. It's not what we're talking about. How about like this? The DeLorean from Back to the Future. Yeah, that's what we're kind of talking about. Just get in your car and fly away. Or maybe like this, here's Harry Potter just hanging out of a flying car. Yeah, those are the kinds of things we're talking about. Well, David, back when we were talking about this, David suggested that this is the problem. When we finally understand how gravity works, then it may be possible that we can control gravity and have flying cars. Well, the particle model suggests that nature has its own way of controlling gravity. So can we do the same? We get gravity being generated by the G1 particle field flowing through the Earth, and you get a gravitational field around the Earth. Nature does it. Why can't we do something? So I'm going to base my discussion on two previous videos. Young's double slit experiment part 3, the detector, which you can view at that link, and the FM transmitter and radio wave, which you can review at that link. If you haven't seen them, you may want to stop, copy these links into your URL and watch them. In any case, I'm going to use the main parts of those videos to talk about flying cars. Now, this is the detector in a double slit. The detector is placed here by the detector screen, and we have an electron generator through double slits, and they have a detector, and the detector has power, and lo and behold, instead of getting an interference pattern, you get just two vertical bars with a dark space in between. And that's strange. They don't have an explanation for that. However, when you take away the power and leave the detector there, you get the interference pattern back. Well, I'm gonna go back to the one with the power. The thing here is that you've got DC current flowing through this, a lot of G1 particles, and you end up with a strong G2 force field around it, and that force field causes light to deflect. Well, it takes G1, light being G1 particle streams, causes the light to, instead of doing an interference pattern, it does the two bars. When you unplug it, you have very little current flowing through the detector. The G2 force field around that detector is very weak and allows the normal function of the double slit experiment to give you the double slit. So we can control the strength of the G2 force field, and the G2 force field controls the flow of G1 particles. Deflecting G1 gravity. So we can control the magnitude of the G2 gravity by increasing or decreasing the power level in a circuit, which in turn can bend G1 particle streams. By controlling G2 gravity, we may be able to deflect the flow of G1 gravity around the top of the car and thus reduce the force of G1 gravity that pushes the car down. Well, maybe that doesn't work so well, not so fast. Remember Newton's third principle. Since the car is an object that's free to move, you got a freely moving car, once it's in space at least, and the force it uses to deflect the particle streams up away from it will cause an equal and opposite force on the car pushing the car down. Kind of cancels out the effect. Doesn't really seem to work that way. Well, that doesn't seem to work. Well, let's talk about another aspect. This is based on the FM transmitter video that I referred to, and this is an FM circuit that I use to explain. It's got all this stuff, microphone, oscillator, inverting amplifier is a power amplifier and antenna. And in the end, what you end up with is you get FM signals being sent out on the antenna. Those are streams of FM signals that are have a repeating pattern based on the oscillating frequency of the FM generator. So what if I take away all this other stuff and don't have an oscillator and just DC bias this power amplifier? Have to remove the capacitor and this transformer because they block DC. Got to get DC flowing out of this antenna. I haven't tried it. I don't know whether this is feasible or not, but clearly we can have circuits that generate streams of G1 particles, whether it's an FM radio signal or hopefully a steady stream of low intensity G1 particles, which could look like gravity. Let's see. So what can we do with these missing G1 particles that we normally have? We get gravity, a net force of gravity, because as the G1 particles flow through and they're lost, you have fewer here, same number here as there, and you get a net force. What if we could replace the missing ones, using that as green, with this FM transfer? Modify the transmitter to generate G1 gravity streams, and you could make a low gravity highway. Possible? Don't know. I haven't done a feasibility study. Well, let's do both. Let's generate and replace. We're going to generate and replace, and we're going to deflect. So this time we're going to, this is a highway, and the highway is going in and out of the page. So we cover the highway with a roof. The roof is fixed, and we put in a circuit that can deflect the G1 particles and have them go this way and go this way, reducing the number coming down. Then we use an electronic circuit down here to generate G1 particle streams to replace them. Maybe you could have a zero gravity highway with using both concepts. Will it work? Probably not. But at least the particle model gives us options to pursue. And we could even do a little test to see what there might be going on here. So let's modify an FM transmitter to generate a stream of G1s. That is, we're not generating an FM radio signal. We're generating a low intensity streams of G1 particles. Then we're going to point that stream at a object hanging on a string and see if we can see a deflection. Because horizontal gravity sitting here on the surface of the Earth, the horizontal gravity is balanced, equal, and opposite. So you've got equal and opposite forces. So if you can cause an imbalance in that equal and opposite force, you might be able to push that object to show that, yeah, these streams of G1 particles can push and actually oppose gravity. Okay, it's horizontal gravity, but nonetheless it's gravity. Kind of reminiscence of solar wind. If you haven't looked up that, and I haven't talked about it, but solar wind's quite kind of interesting. So this new series, which I will take up every once in a while, I want to know what your question is. If you have a serious question about physics, email me at particleguru@gmail.com. I'll make a video based on your question, even if I don't have an answer. But I will only address serious questions, questions made to intimidate, make a fool out of me, whatever, just a joke, who knows what. But if it's a serious question, I will respond with a video. So send me your question. My name is Bob D. Hilster, and I am your particle model guru. Tune in next time when I'll explain more of the universe using the particle model. Thank you for your attention.